Hi there. Welcome, everybody. I'm Jessica Hellman. I'm the director of the Institute on the Environment at the University of Minnesota. And welcome to our webinar about an exciting new postdoc program we are hosting here at the U of M in the Institute on the Environment. The Institute on the Environment is a cutting-edge, interdisciplinary, scholarly community working to help build a future where people and the planet prosper together. And today we're going to talk about opportunities to join us on that journey, to come be part of this extraordinary place of learning and outreach. And to explain how we're going to make our way through today's presentation, I'd like to turn the mic over to my colleague, Melissa Kenny.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Hi, my name is Melissa Kenny, and I'm the Director of Research and Knowledge Initiatives at the University of Minnesota's Institute on the Environment. We call it IonE. So if you hear that throughout the talk, that's what we're referring to. We're referring to the Institute on the Environment. One of my superpowers that you'll hear about is I think a lot about decision support systems and how to make knowledge and information more accessible to folks. And I'm really excited about the IonE Postdoctoral Fellows Program. This is something we've been envisioning for a number of years, is to create a community of scholars who embrace community-engaged, interdisciplinary science and are really wanting to move the needle to support climate action and more sustainable solutions. The goal of the IonE Postdoctoral Fellowship is to really accelerate the transition to this more sustainable future by supporting breakthrough research across disciplines, developing next-generation global leaders, and by building transformative partnerships across the state, region, and globe. IonE Postdoctoral Fellows are interdisciplinary. You are community-engaged scholars who thrive both as team leaders and collaborators. And you are visionary leaders who conduct solutions-oriented research to support equitable and just sustainability transition decisions. You define success by the impact you have in the world. And if this is you, we want you as part of our community. So to get started, what I want to do is I want to just introduce you to a number of the amazing mentors that you'll get to engage with us as part of this program. These are our IonE research scholars, and you'll get to meet a number of them today. One of the areas of work, this program is within IonE, and it's also embedded within one of our pillars of strength, which is knowledge initiatives. We call it KI. So if you see KI embedded throughout IonE's website, that's knowledge initiatives. That's our group. IonE research, as you'll get a flavor of, is the research that we do within the Institute is always multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary. It's always team-based, and it's always in collaboration with community partners. And that's because if we're working on really hard sustainability or climate challenges, there is not a single person who can solve that problem. That is a team sport that we have to work on together. We work with a number of different partners. We're really excited to partner with anyone who is willing to help us to move the needle. So we work with state, local, and federal governments. We work with international organizations and non-governmental organizations or NGOs. We work with small businesses to Fortune 500 companies. And we work at the community level with stakeholders who are interested in really thinking about how knowledge can be implemented to use science as part of decision-making to drive impact. And we're really focused on filling gaps, not incremental changes or more precise science, but really thinking about sort of the fundamental understanding that's necessary to support some of the grandest societal challenges that we're facing today. So we do work related to forecasting, scenario analysis, risk analysis. We really work to uncover trade-offs between competing priorities and think about how we use that in the context of supporting decision-making under uncertainty. Basically, we try and do research that matters. and that collaboratively builds knowledge that really is aiming to move the needle on these key sustainability issues. So now I'm going to pass things over to my colleague, Jennifer Schmidt, who's going to introduce the program.
Thank you, Melissa. Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Schmidt. I'm a senior research scientist in sustainability, and I lead our agricultural and food system sustainability research. My superpowers include relationship building and connecting. This is a image of our web page. So if you go to z.umn.edu/IonE-postdoc.fellows, you can get to our website, and we are accepting applications through May 1st. If you get to our website, there's a big apply here button, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. And on that application page, there's more information about eligibility and the process in general. We also have an FAQ page, which you can see listed at the top right corner of the screen. Included in the FAQ are screenshots of the actual Google form application so that you can see the entire application ahead of time. As part of the process, you'll have to indicate your interest in one or more of our existing postdoctoral projects, which are also listed at the top of the screen as a link button. These projects are described on the project list page, and we're going to briefly talk about each one now. Our team has been building out spatially explicit environmental county level life cycle inventories for U.S. commodity crops and animal protein. And so this first project that I'm going to talk about is our environmental impacts of U.S. agriculture projects. We connect these projects or this environmental impact to our supply chain modeling work, and it allows us to provide production and consumption-based life cycle impacts for various supply chain actors. We have multiple projects that rely and build on this data, including projects improving greenhouse gas data for soybeans and soy products, greenhouse gas footprinting of milk, improving the spatialization of wheat and alfalfa life cycle inventory data, estimating company, state, or other partner-specific supply chain environmental impacts, substance flow analysis of nutrients of soybean production, and standardizing our spatial method across different commodities. We heavily lean on life cycle and system perspectives for this work, focusing on U.S. commodity crops and protein. Our work has largely focused on greenhouse gases and water to date, but we're interested in expanding our work to other important categories. We are looking for people who are interested in building data sets, who know or want to learn life cycle accounting, who have some knowledge of agricultural or biophysical systems, and are interested in working with the team to expand and improve our research portfolio.
And hi, everyone. My name is Nat Springer, and I'm a research scientist in economics and sustainability, and I'll be presenting the next couple of projects. This first one here is related to what Jennifer just talked about with the agricultural supply chains work. And so underlying what Jennifer just talked about is a supply chain model of the U.S. economy that we call the Foods Cube model. And it's been built to measure county scale movement of commodities and enables us to aggregate the life cycle impacts for these supply networks. Now, this uses an optimization model, but also associated code to collate the disparate data sets that we bring together and aggregate and present the lifecycle footprinting results to different stakeholders. So we're looking for a team member with expertise in optimization, data analysis, and management, as well as visualization, who can help us improve and streamline existing pieces of this model, as well as find and collate heterogeneous data sources and help build out new components of specific commodities and projects. So as Jennifer mentioned, we have multiple projects that aim to achieve these improvements, and some examples include helping find and integrate data on global soybean trade data, improving estimates of facility capacity for the different commodities that we look at, for helping streamline visualization and mapping out our model results. So this work requires knowledge and experience coding in Python, particularly scientific and geospatial Python packages, but also the ability to communicate this knowledge and technical information about the model to different team members as well as our stakeholders. And so I'm also going to talk about another project that is called the Solar Energy and Development and Community Ecosystem Services postdoc. And this postdoc will help develop an ecosystem services framework for solar siting that encompasses both biophysical and cultural ecosystem services. Now, this work is funded by the Department of Energy Solar Energy Technologies Office and is led by our partners at the Great Plains Institute, which is a nonprofit based here in the Twin Cities. Now, this figure you see here is a diagram of the various ecosystem services that are encompassed by the framework proposed, and they fall under the general 4 categories of provisioning, supporting, regulating, and cultural services. Now, this work relies on past as well as continuing work on the provisioning, supporting, and regulating services, including some field work by our University of Minnesota partners in the Department of Soil, Water, and Climate, and some existing project works that's looking at agrivoltaics with our natural capital project model tools that some of you might be familiar with, INVEST. Yet a bigger piece of the project will actually be community engaged research to determine and measure the cultural services that have often been an overlooked part of this solar and ecosystem services assessment. So we're looking for a person who can help out build the integration of these biophysical and cultural services among our different partners and help build tools that our stakeholders will help us suggest to measure and compare the trade-offs among these services. So previous experience with ecosystem service assessment and modeling is important for this job, as well as any knowledge of multi-attribute sustainability assessment, the solar development sector, and programming, particularly again in geospatial or scientific Python packages is very much a plus.
All right, I'm taking it back over again from Nat. Again, Jessica Hellman, Director of the Institute on the Environment, also a researcher. So I'm going to tell you about a couple of projects that are in my portfolio that are part of this postdoc cohort program. The first is we call Adaptation in the Natural Resources Sector. This is a postdoc that would be associated with the Midwest Climate Adaptation Science Center, which is a USGS funded project hosted here at the University of Minnesota and housed at the Institute on the Environment. It's actually a consortium of many different entities, 8 different entities spread across the Midwest region, pursuing a variety of projects related to what we call the adaptation cycle, from the design of adaptation or vulnerability assessments, design of adaptation interventions, testing and demonstrating implementation, understanding the needs and justification for adaptation, all within the natural resource sector, supporting the federal government, state government, tribes, and other communities. So for this project, we would be looking for a postdoc who had some natural resource expertise, but could come from a variety of different disciplines, interested in adaptation, committed to working with stakeholders, and could pursue a project that would be related to any number of activities ongoing in the Midwest Climate Adaptation Science Center. And we would invite you to check out the CASC website for more information to give background on the types of work that could be relevant. In the next slide, we'll extend from the natural resource sector into the building sector. So we're also interested in adaptation and what it means to respond to changes in climatic conditions for buildings in the built environment. So specifically, we're seeking a postdoc who would have an interest and capacity for working with weather data and climate projections in ways that enable us to interpret risk to the building sector, helping us to define how we need to think about the design and evaluation of buildings that are responsive to changing climatic conditions, and also ways in which natural systems respond that may affect those buildings in the built environment. So this work we have been pursuing in collaboration with the state legislature and would require some climatic modeling capabilities. And then thirdly, we're looking for a postdoc who'd be interested in providing leadership to something called the Midwest Carbon Leadership Project. The Midwest Carbon Leadership Project is a series of convenings, the first of which was conducted in December, and several more to be conducted in the coming years. And they are collaborations between academia and the private sector. So the goal is to fill critical gaps toward carbon neutrality in this region, drawing upon our Midwestern region and our industries here and our academic prowess in this area to make a difference. And that we need to make those kinds of collaborative research fruitful and directed so that we can fill these gaps that lie between the private sector and academia. We have a distinct role to play in collaboration together. So this could be any number of projects or expertise that someone might bring, but definitely coordination skills and ability to interact with stakeholders and a desire to do some project management, to do research in a collaborative way. And also to someone seeking expertise in developing convenings and bringing different types of researchers together. I should say for each of the 3 projects that I've just shared, our strong preference would be for someone who would be based here, who could come to the Twin Cities and work at the Institute on the Environment in our scholarly community. They would, all 3 of these that I've just discussed, would need someone who does reside in the Midwest and connected to the Midwest with a preference for living locally here in the Twin Cities. And I think, Famara, Dampa, I'm passing to you.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you. My name is Famara Dampa. I'm a research scientist here at the Institute on the Environment, University of Minnesota in Natural Capital and Ecosystem Service. So you hear that word frequently in use today. I just want to say that a little bit of context here. University of Minnesota and the Institute on the Environment is a global leader in natural capital accounting and ecosystem service assessment and valuation. We are a co-founder of the Natural Capital Initiative, which is a multi-institutional partnership with universities and other nonprofits around the world. And as you may know, NatCap is the developer of the integrated valuation of ecosystem services and trade-offs models. We call them INVEST. So we're looking for a postdoc that will join our team to do natural capital accounting, ecosystem service modeling. That includes valuation, assessment, and data visualization. But a key component of this work will include a lot of engagement with stakeholders, because in natural capital work, we've done a lot of modeling without much attention or focus on stakeholder engagement piece. So this project will do a lot of engagement with local stakeholders to identify the knowledge gaps, implementation challenges, and emerging opportunities for mainstreaming what we call nature-based solutions into decision-making in Minnesota. So this particular project that what I'm talking about will be Minnesota focused to be working with stakeholders to identify these issues. As you may know, the objective here is to contribute to climate regulation with natural capital and ecosystem service modeling work. It's about climate adaptation, it's about building community resilience, it's also about biodiversity conservation and enhancement, but also about ecosystem functioning and livability, whether it's in cities or in rural areas, for improving human well-being and ensuring a just, sustainable transition for all. I think the skill sets we're looking here very specifically is geospatial modeling, also some understanding of climate and disaster risk assessment, policy analysis, and maybe also knowledge about non-market environmental valuation methods, whether it's contingent valuation, hedonics, and others. So I have to say that, again, this is a project that will require somebody on the community engagement piece of it to be based in Minnesota. So that's very important. The second project is also very specific and focuses on data science for landscape ecology. And this project is going to be building a living database which integrates insect field observation data with threats data and art observation data. So the position here, we're looking for a postdoc that will help in developing and applying data science techniques to bring fresh insights into ecological patterns with a focus on control of agricultural pests by natural predators. So skill sets here, if you are someone with skills and experience in machine learning, Bayesian modeling, different geospatial modeling, this would be required. So thank you very much. I think I'll pass it on to my colleague, Deepak.
Hi, I'm Deepak Ray. I'm a senior research scientist at IonE. So this first project is in collaboration with the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. In 2014, MPCA, that is the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, together with a whole host of partners, published a report and a target how to reduce nutrient pollution in Minnesota's lakes and rivers. So since then, in the next 6 years, it turned out that nitrate pollution actually increased. And part of the problem is probably the uncertainty in the various aspects of calculation of like how efficiently nitrogen and phosphorus is being uptaken by agriculture. So in this project, we are looking for someone who can compute the various sources of uncertainty which goes into the nitrogen use efficiency and phosphorus use efficiency in Minnesota. That will be directly then used by the MPCA to further to analysis and make policy changes. Somebody with the capacity to analyze nitrogen use efficiency, computational skills is highly recommended. Also to work together with the state government agency, that is also required. The next project is about global crop data. So for the last 10 years, more than 1 decade, I've been building crop statistics data at high resolutions, which is then used to answer a variety of questions concerning food security around the world. So what we want to do now is to build this data set bigger, better, and much faster. So we need somebody who will actually work in close collaboration with me to build this next generation of data. At least some interest is required to contribute towards that. But there is a scientific aspect beyond just the data building scientific aspect, and that is to work with the data to answer various food security questions. And one which I'm really interested in answering is how crops are used for various sectors, like crops used for industrial use, or crops used for processing, or crops directly used for food consumption, or crops used for animal feed, crops which are exported, and then when they are exported, what happens to those crops in the importing nations. So that's one of the things. Other things you can answer as a postdoc with me is like extreme events and crop productivity, and a whole host of other things can be also explored with the greater data set, which we will together build. So you need to have some statistical analysis skills, coding skills. You need to have some GIS interest. The rest I can teach also. Next one. This third project is about who owns the carbon in the United States, really. The land sector, on which the forests are and the natural grasslands are, they are owned by somebody. It could be in the public sector, it could be in the private sector. To understand who actually owns the carbon, you need to work with shapefiles. And in the shapefiles, you have the land ownership information. So somebody in this role would certainly be very good in working with shapefiles. And then we work with our partners to understand who owns the land, who owns the carbon in the land. So this is the third project. And now I'll hand over to Melissa.
Thanks so much, Deepak. I'm going to describe 3 different projects that I'm co-mentoring or mentoring in some way. This first one is focused on workforce development and sustainability and data science. This would be mentored with Kathy, who's our Director of Leadership and Education, and in collaboration with IonE Fellow Diana Dalbotton. And the goal of this project is really to re-envision how we support workforce training and development at universities. So at universities or in a high school 9-12 structure. So one of the structures of this is actually working with a team that's based at the University of Minnesota, Notre Dame, tribal colleges, a couple of different tribal colleges and universities, and several minority serving institutions. And to think about how we can transform the way that we're teaching data science. So instead of thinking about developing coding skills, instead think about really shaping it to student priorities and working with tribal colleges. What we're doing is we're looking at how we do culturally centered data science training that really centers Indigenous knowledge and Indigenous needs, so that there's an opportunity for data sovereignty and data science that really helps to support community needs and community empowerment. It also is taking a look ahead. If we're looking at the wealth generating careers of the future, if we expect that data science and data science skills are necessary for eligibility within those within those types of careers, we have to completely re-envision the way that we're thinking about training. If we want greater diversity, if we want greater inclusivity, and we want to create more equitable graduate pathways, or different kinds of pathways for students and people at different career stages. So we're not necessarily looking for a data scientist. You can be a data scientist who's highly interested in education, or someone who's been involved in sustainability that's looking to get more involved in education. But you could also just be coming from an education, evaluation, different kinds of disciplines that would have relevance. We're really looking for people who have an interest in science education, student mentoring, ideally evaluation research methods, and really are interested in centering aspects of diversity, equity, inclusion, justice as part of workforce development. Just one note on that high school angle. Kathy leads an NSF-funded project in 16 Minnesota high schools, and they're really looking at the impact of near-peer mentoring as an intervention to encourage thinking about climate change solutions and the use of project-based learning, and specifically like simulation games. So they're really looking to have an impact on both climate change knowledge, different ways of thinking like systems thinking, and more critical thinking. And so that's another opportunity as part of a postdoc that would be focused on workforce development that one could pursue. The next project I'm going to describe is really focused on adaptation indicators and community engagement. If you're familiar with my research, that I have a particular interest and passion for indicators that has spanned many decades. And this project is really focused on thinking about work in Minnesota and the Upper Mississippi River Basin. It's focused on partnerships and development to co-produce various data products or indicators that are really looking to move the needle on different climate adaptation actions or resilience actions. We're open to people who have a range of different skill sets. It'd be really great for people to have knowledge of qualitative and or quantitative social science methods, to have some experience building collaborations or engagements with different kinds of partners, and especially if you have engagement with partners within the Midwest or environmental justice communities. There's a pretty significant community engagement component that's required as part of this position. So Minnesota residents is required because we're expecting that you're going to be out in the communities engaging people and thinking about how we use science as a bridge for developing shared understanding. And this is part of two different kinds of projects. We have one project focused on community engagement related to droughts and floods in the Upper Mississippi River Basin. So that's a 5-state basin area above the Missouri River. And another where we've been working with the state of Minnesota, focused on state level resilience indicators that are associated with the state climate action plan. So we're really looking to move the needle, and all of the work that we're doing is structured to be directly integrated into work and products that are being pursued by our partners. And then finally, the other strain of research that I've worked on the past number of years is really thinking about how we increase the usability and understandability of federal data products. A lot of our federal data products have been developed by scientists for scientists, and given that they are intended for public audiences, our intention is to increase the usability of these products, not just by making the graphics more beautiful, but by really understanding the audience needs, testing, making sure that we're pulling out the key messages and that we're structuring visualizations or user-controlled data products in ways that are actionable. This work focuses on a number of high-profile data products, including the soon-to-be released flood products that are produced by NOAA, drought outlooks, multiple hazard outlooks, hydrologic products, as well as ecological forecasts of different kinds. Because of the way that we do this, we work to fast track for the federal government, the kind of implementation of these improved visuals for the public. And so we're really, honestly, like, we have folks that work on this from a wide range of different disciplines and are coming from a wide range of different kinds of training. Knowledge of qualitative and/or quantitative social science methods is required, but you can have experience from that regardless of your degree. So that wraps up the projects that we wanted to share. And one of the things I want to emphasize a couple of things before we wrap up. One is, with each of these projects, one of the reasons why we're working to bring people into things that already exist is that we want to fast track some of the project management, the team science, and community engaged partnerships, the relationship management skills that are necessary to do this kind of work. Within these spaces, we are looking for you to bring your whole self, your experiences, your lived experiences, your skills, your background, and help to shape the way that these projects grow and are serving the constituents. This is something that we do together. It's not something that we do individually, and that means that everyone has to bring the unique superpowers that they bring. In a number of cases, what you've noticed is that remote work is possible for a number of postdocs. Certainly, we prefer to have people in the office, and if remote is an opportunity that's part of these postdocs, please just note that in your application and be honest about, you know, whether or not it's preferred or required, because we want to work with folks so that there's no misunderstanding of expectations. We have a number of team members who are remote, including a remote postdoc right now. So it is absolutely within the scope of team members that we have as part of IonE, but we do want to work with you on how to structure that. We've gotten some questions about when to apply. If you are graduating in 2023 and would expect to start a postdoc pretty soon after your graduation date, please apply. The exact start dates for these postdocs are negotiable for our inaugural cohort. And so if you are graduating sometime in the fall and would anticipate starting a postdoc fairly soon after that, please apply this round if there's projects that are of interest to you. We are looking to bring in across our different projects. There's some projects that might have more than one postdoc opportunity. We're looking to bring in about 15 really amazing team members. And that's because we feel like there's a power in community. So many of us have worked as islands within different workspaces that we've been in. We brought these kind of systems thinking, these like impact-oriented skill sets. And we might have been one of the few or the only one that might have been in those spaces. And so part of a cohort is to create community, create community where you all can learn from each other, we can learn from you, you can learn from us, and that we're providing professional development and mechanisms of collaboration that allow you to really build the kind of postdoctoral community that empowers you to be prepared for whatever next stage that you want. And successful next stages, for some, that's going to be academia, and for others, that's going to be different levels of government or NGOs or private sector, or maybe starting their own business. Like, success has looked really different, and we've had team members who have gone off and done absolutely tremendous things in so many different places. And so no matter what your career aspirations are, we will be supporting you in gaining the skills and developing the networks to be successful, to really be change agents within the world and really moving the needle on sustainability no matter where you land. So if this sounds exciting to you, please join us. Apply here, and note our website is https z.umn.edu/IonE/postdoc/fellows. So thank you so much for joining us here today. We look forward to reading your application, and thank you so much for the time that you're putting in and your willingness to share things with us. Have a great day.